All right, everyone, we have to start off today talking yet again about Ilhan Omar. Not just Ilhan Omar, it's sort of a dynamic of these Justice Democrats that Cenk and his people loaded into the Democratic Party. Now, the Justice Democrats' backdrop here are actually involved with AOC's, the FEC allegation against her. By the way, weighing in on that very briefly, I'm not going to make a separate video about it. No, AOC is not going to get kicked out of office or jailed. Her protege there might, her top aide, depending on what the FEC finds, but these people are pretty good at covering their tracks when they embezzle millions of dollars from investors and stuff. Basically, the Justice Democrats are a far-left socialistic bloc of Democrats. You've got Ilhan Omar, I think Rashida Tlaib is one of them, AOC, some of these other people. The further left craptivists of the post-liberal age within the Democratic Party want to seize control of the political structure in order to foist socialism off on the country. That's basically their goal. They want more censorship, massive taxes. They basically want to bring the United States to its knees in order to make people subservient to their warped, outdated way of thinking. They're a bunch of bullshitters, in other words. But Ilhan Omar has become the biggest thorn in the side that I've seen in my lifetime within the Democratic Party. Now, as an aside to people who are more nationalistic and they're like, well, we shouldn't pledge loyalty to Israel or something. Okay, you can think that if you want, but to have a person within your political party say that when you have a bunch of vulnerable Democrats that'll be up for re-election, some of which have a lot of religious constituents that are simply not Republican, especially within parts of the South, can't you see how that's not a great strategy to have? Yeah, I think there's a big problem. So what's happened is this. You already had a schism within the Democratic Party. What you had years ago was fundamentally the part of the party that sort of wanted to maintain the Obama-era sort of neoliberal status quo, and then an amorphous group of people who wanted to deviate from that. You have the business Democrats. They're like, hey, why are we trying to tax people more? We were a workers' party. We were about unions and common sense and JFK. Now there's some wedge issues and crazy shit. We're tired of it. They by the way, largely flocked to Trump. They did the same thing that the same group of Democrats did in the Reagan era. They became Reagan Democrats. They voted for him mainly for fiscal reasons, taxes and jobs. And in similar areas, by the way. That's number one. Then you have the progressives, so-called, really at this point just socialist bloc, that want further left. They want to massively restructure the tax code. They want 5 or 6 major welfare reforms, as they call them, which is socialism. They are wedge issue based largely. The way they want to get into power is primarily browbeating people based on their socioeconomic status. You make too much money, or you're an investor or a landlord or something, or based on the fact that they happen to be especially white and especially male. And so they couch it in happy, family-friendly propaganda terms like inclusion or progress or affirmative action. Really, it's just racism and sexism, but that's an aside. What Ilhan Omar has done, though, is that's the initial schism, and then you have the schism over what to do with Trump. Part of the party wants to impeach him, despite the fact that he's done nothing impeachable. They haven't even investigated him fully yet. The Senate's already cleared him. Mueller's going to clear him almost certainly. The House is now involved because it's Democrat-run. They'll run that into the ground Benghazi style and fuck themselves, I believe. Then you've got the main part of the party. It's like, look, there's nothing we can do about it. Why don't we form a platform, run a coherent campaign? So you have these two schools of thought. Now, Ilhan Omar gets involved and fractures the party further. And this is what I predicted 4 fucking years ago would begin to happen. You have that far left uprising. These are primarily younger individuals with little political experience. They are not thinking strategically. The core, the 90% of the Democratic Party that's neoliberal or kind of far left, even like a Warrenite or something, those people primarily are thinking about political strategy, how to get elected and how to maintain their position. All of these others are young idealists. They think that they can just bull on in and take over the party. The problem is even the party structure itself is resistant to that. That is that the neoliberals within the party, they're like, what are you fucking doing? You've been here for a few months and you're trying to tell people that were here for 30 years how to do their job. Now, there's something to be said for that because they haven't been doing a good job for 30 years or whatever. That's definitely true. I don't think progressivism is a reform. I see it as a regression back to older, dark age sort of ideology, strangulation, interventionism, authoritarianism in various ways. But at least they've put forward an alternative. And this has been echoed by some people on the right. Well, at the very least, you know, like with AOC, well, she's kind of like a Trump. Now, I don't see it entirely like that. I'll get into that in a second. But there is something to be said for simply making a big offer to people and then picking away at it, trying to chisel something out that you can impose on the population. I don't think she's successful, and I'll tell you why. She's too cringy. It's not like Trump. People try to compare the two. Trump was not initially mocked. It's first they ignore you, then they mock you. With AOC, nobody ever ignored her. She was immediately headline news the second she joined the race. Oh my God, look at this young, dynamic, vibrant, wonderful person. She got elected in a very, very deep blue district of fucking New York City. She is a junior representative, and she has already stepped on her own feet 3 or 4 different times. She's not Trump. Okay? Not going to happen. No, she's never going to... No, there will not be a President Ocasio-Cortez or, you know, whatever surname she ends up being. Whatever quadro surname she gets once she finally gets hitched. By the way, they keep trying to humanize her. Oh, my mom keeps telling me she wants me to get married. Oh, look, the doggy is licking me. Oh, you know, the Republicans don't like me because I'm, like, beautiful, supposedly, which isn't true. Yeah, can you say propaganda here? And not very good propaganda because it's so fucking transparent. But now Ilhan Omar comes along. She's like, hold my beer, AOC. I'm going to show you what a true cringe master can do. Hey, guess what? Israel, Israel, haha, AIPAC. Now, the problem is, the sort of people that are going to say haha, like, you know, maybe, I don't know, shit posters on 4chan or something, they're not going to vote for fucking Ilhan Omar. Get back the Democratic Party, because the Democratic Party's platform is almost inevitably going to include, yes, we want to open the borders, think of the children, much more taxes, much more welfare, globalism is great, haha, evil Trump, he's white male, he's a Nazi or something. That's not a good strategy to have in mind. It's going to be hilarious to watch the Democrats rip themselves apart. They can't even agree on censoring someone for saying what she did about the Israeli lobby and stuff. Now, criticism of Israel, of course, is not the same as, well, you know, Jews or something. That's understood, and people are being disingenuous when they make that connection. They're like the Soros network and stuff. They're like, oh, you criticize this person. They happen to be a Judaist or an ethnic Jew. Therefore, you're a Nazi. No, no, no. That's not true, and questioning the U.S.-Israeli relationship is fine. First Amendment, fuck off. That being said, if you are in office, you have to think of your constituents. You have to think of the party at large. And to expect the party to coalesce around Ilhan Omar's comments, that doesn't make sense. They would get wiped off the face of the earth in the elections. Because ultimately it comes down to this. What proportion of Americans find the Israel-Palestine thing to be very important? Not a very large proportion. Most of them are evangelical Christians, some of which vote Democrat because of other issues, but they will abandon them at the first sign that they say, well, we'll question or criticize Israel. How many voters that are actually going to turn out, primarily young, very far left voters, what proportion of voters on the left that buoy the Democratic Party primarily really give a fucking damn about the issue? Not very many, but a hell of a lot of Republicans do. Can you say higher turnout for the Republicans? Can you say that in districts where you've got a Democrat that is ostensibly religious and is sort of like Jesus, like a Jimmy Carter, can you say they lose their fucking job if they don't criticize Ilhan Omar? And then the party stands in their way of actually issuing an official rebuke? This is a crazy talk. The Democratic Party just walked right into Trump's trap, and Trump does what every other president... By the way, there's a lot of shilling right now, like on 4chan stuff. Oh, well, it's MAGA now, not MAGA. Haha, we must support Tulsi Gabbard or something. Yes, I'm sure you'll end up supporting an open borders... If you're really nativistic and stuff like that, you're going to support an open borders party over someone who is being obstructed from defending the border. Makes total sense. Yeah, Yang Gang 2020. It's not going to happen, dude. The Democrats have made a huge mistake, a huge tactical blunder. Well, it's not the Democrats. They're just not reacting properly to Ilhan Omar and AOC. The two biggest cringe-meisters within the Democratic Party are bringing it to it's falling from within. Again, just as predicted. It's not Trump isn't destroying the Democratic Party. He's not making them do dumb shit. They're doing it all on their own. That's about all. Peace out.